This is the story of the fight against the Jumbo Glacier Resort, an example of an Indigenous fight for territory creating a just transformation for sustainability. Located in the southeast corner of British Columbia, Canada, is Jumbo Valley, a mountain resort in the Purcell mountain range. In 1991, Glacier Resorts Limited proposed the Jumbo Glacier Resort, a year-round ski resort to be built in Jumbo Valley. There was resulting opposition from the Tanaka First Nation, conservationists and local communities, for example, based on cultural and environmental issues. The Tanaka First Nation have lived on the land for 9,000 years and state that Jumbo Valley, or Katmuk as it's known to them, is home to their sacred grizzly bear spirit.
You have that connection with the animal spirit, and particularly, the grizzly bear. Grizzly bear is the chief up in these mountains here.
The area is an important source of guidance, strength, protection and spirituality. If the resort was built, it would violate their religious freedoms. The fight against the ski resort was joined by environmental groups such as Wildsight and Eco-Justice, who fought to keep the area safe for grizzly bears. If built, the Jumbo Glacier Resort would fragment a critical section of the wildlife corridor, potentially impacting grizzly bear populations across the continent. The fight against the Jumbo Glacier Resort spanned 3 decades and involved many forms of mobilisation. Public campaigns against the development took a bottom-up approach, for example with street protests and blockades. This, combined with writing official complaint letters, delivering petitions and organising meetings, contributed to the resistance to the project. This citizens-led transformation through resistance was key throughout the fight. Finally, in January 2020, the land proposed for the Jumbo Glacier Resort was handed over to the Tanaka First Nation to be managed as an Indigenous Protected Conservation Area, or IPCA. They will be in charge of stewardship and conservation, not just for Jumbo Valley, but for the 700 square kilometres surrounding it. This case study can be regarded as a success for environmental justice, as finally, after so many years, the area will be conserved and protected both for its cultural value and environmental importance. The Jumbo Valley case was an eventual success story. After the government ignored the environmental and cultural issues for years, only now are those rights protected in law. The Katmuk IPCA is a step forward for Canada for policies surrounding spaces that are significant environmentally, culturally and spiritually. Canada's colonial history should be understood, as for hundreds of years the Canadian governments have created parks without the consent of Indigenous people, sometimes forcibly removing them from their territories, ultimately creating substantial intergenerational impacts. The IPCA provides a new framework for conservation that is Indigenous-led and understands their rights and responsibilities as stewards. However, a review of how the IPCA is managed should happen to make sure that it is truly Indigenous-led and not co-managed by other actors such as the government. This way, the IPCA will actively engage with the justice issues that the Tanaka are fighting for. As the IPCA was only granted just before the pandemic, it is unclear what the true scale of the outcomes are, but these issues will need to be kept in mind to ensure a just transformation to sustainability. The Jumbo Valley case represents a transformation that mobilised against the ski resort development project, aiming for a more sustainable form of land management by the Tanaka First Nation. This case isn't just about the well-being of the Tanaka and the Jumbo Valley, but is also important for the well-being of the planet. Internationally, Indigenous people and their knowledges have had a huge importance in environmental integrity and conservation efforts. Combining global fights from Indigenous people trying to protect their territories gives a wider understanding of the need for an Indigenous approach to create just transformations to sustainability worldwide. The report by Garnett et al. In 2018 states that Indigenous lands cover about a quarter of all land outside Antarctica. This is a huge proportion of land globally, and it highlights the large contribution that Indigenous people and knowledges have had in land conservation efforts. I hope that the eventual success story that is keeping Jumbo wild can be replicated in other fights for Indigenous justice globally.